Hi, Karina. I can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Oh, I was on mute the whole time. Absolutely. So let me thank you for sharing that. So for those that missed the beginning here, let me share. So this is the second live demo that I'm doing for Coachilli. We did one last week with Puenza. This time I have invited Ram from Simply Coach. That's simply.coach. And this is going to be exciting because this will help you to understand what this coaching platform does, how you can use it to build your coaching practice. If you want to see similar content that helps you use technology to build your coaching business, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, or you can go to coachilli.com to see more. And Ram, welcome. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me here, Karina. Absolutely a pleasure.
Yeah, and we have a huge time difference. And so thank you even more for making the time work. Yeah, really great. And so, Ram, let's jump right on in. I'm really curious. When you guys reached out and said, hey, we have a coaching platform too, right? Can we talk about this? This really excited me. And it looks great what you have on your website. Now, our guests haven't seen that yet, right? Our viewers. So can you talk a little bit about who is the typical coach? Like what are the needs that a coach that looks for a solution from Simply Coach, right? What are they looking for?
Yeah. So, Karina, when we started building out Simply Coach, we really wanted to talk to the coach who starts off immediately after their certification and then grow along with them. So, we wanted to offer features and functionalities when they are starting out with a couple of clients and then grow with them as they graduate and do group coaching or team coaching and they become a full-fledged coaching business. So, we want to be with them all through the way.
Oh, that's great. So it's grow as you go. I think I saw that. We'll touch on that later in the pricing model, right?
Yeah.
You start small and then you grow as you go. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And then is there a limitation to any region, like, of coaches that you cover, or is this global?
It is global, and more importantly, it is also agnostic to any kind of coaching methodology. So you could be an ICF certified coach, you could be an AOC coach, or it could be an EMCC coach. It doesn't matter. Or you could be a coach who's not certified, who simply wants to use a technology platform to streamline and help elevate your game. You can use Simply Coach for that.
That's great. And, I think one distinction that I saw too is you have kind of like two arms, right? Or two versions of your platform. One is targeting the individual coach and the other one is targeting businesses. Can you talk a little bit about the key differences?
Yeah, so a coaching business is somebody who will aggregate coaching needs from an enterprise. And then they've got a bunch of coaches. Maybe they've got 8 or 10 coaches, maybe even 30, 40 coaches whom they have as associates, whom they're able to invite and deploy onto coaching engagements. So coaching businesses are fairly rigorous in terms of how they work, and they will have multiple clients. Whereas an individual coach is like, somebody like me, I ran my coaching practice for the last 10 years. Individual coach working with a bunch of clients. So that's me individually. I could also be running a coaching business where I'm working with other coaches. That's the difference, Karina.
Excellent. So I'm excited to see what you have. Why don't we jump right on in, and I give you the reins, and then you can do a live demo.
Perfect. All right. Okay. I may not be able to see any messages coming in from viewers here. So if there is anything, you just call out to me and I'll be able to answer those questions.
I'll do that. Absolutely.
Fantastic. So let me share my screen here. I'm going to share my entire screen here. So first things first, right? And when you log into Simply Coach, that's the kind of interface that you're going to see. And you can see that it's organized by your client enterprises or client organizations. You could be working with a Big Ten consulting firm, an FMCG company, FNB major. Those are the kind of clients that you have. And within each client or enterprise, you've got a bunch of either individual engagements or group or cohort engagements out there. So our first level of organization is by enterprises, and within those enterprises, you've got either individual coaching engagements or group coaching engagements. For example, if I were to go and see the left navigation here, this gives me a listing of all the individual engagements that I am working on. Currently, for this demo, I'm logged in as Mason owner here, but you can also see that there are other coaches who are working with me, who are partnering with me. So individual coaching engagements, which coach is working here, and it gives you a little bit of information around when is the next session coming up, how many sessions have you progressed in terms of percentages. All of those information comes for your individual engagements there. If you're working with groups, then you can organize them and you can see all of these cohorts here, and there is no limitation in terms of participants. You could have 4 participants, for example, in a group here, or there could be 14 or there could be 20. So if you're doing an individual leadership development journey with a bunch of 20 participants, you can still use this, cohort engagements. So let me just jump in right now and talk about one demo client that I have here is Mitch. So the moment I come in here, you see for the dashboard for this particular coaching engagement with Mitch, I see that yes, we have got 5 of 10 sessions, total of 10 sessions that we agreed upon. There are 2 goals in there, and I can see the details of those goals here. Goal number 1 that Mitch is working on is being clear on priorities. The second one he wants to be interested in people so that he can delegate more effectively. So the first thing is my dashboard, where I get a quick overview of what I as a coach am working with my client. And you see all these small tabs here, they give me all the details of everything that I can do as part of Simply Coach in working with my client. First tab here is goals. So you can see here the same 2 goals here, being clear on priorities and being interested in people is here. I could always go ahead, add a goal here. That's a new goal for Mitch. I can type in what is the agreed goal here, select a growth area, and what we have done is we have curated a bunch of 80 to 100 growth areas or goal areas that you can select, which will help you to keep track of what are the most important growth areas that most often your clients tend to use. Put in why this goal is important for your client, any target date, and you could also see if the goal is in a draft stage while they are working on it, or you could make it active. You select that and you save it, and you've created a new goal for your client here. Now, Simply Coach is not just meant only for the coach, right? As a platform, you can also bring in clients. So for example, if I were to switch the tab here and go to Mitch, the client, you can see Mitch also in his interface gets to see the goals that he has set and working for himself. So it's open for the client also to work on it. So the client could come in here and say, hey, I want to go ahead, edit this goal, and maybe I want to talk about something else out here and modify the goal. He can do that as well. So both the coach and the client are working on the same platform. They've got different logins.
So Ram, can I ask a question?
Yes, Karina, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you had these lists of goals there, do they also come with like a pathway or some worksheets that belong to them?
Not yet, Karina. One of the things which happens is if you are able to select this and come into a growth area here, what we want to be able to surface is all the things that you talked about in terms of worksheets, reading material, maybe a couple of templates also, and we want to be able to surface that. And so let me talk that about a bit, right? So I'm going to jump around here a little bit, so bear with me. I also have a content repository here. So for example, in this content repository, I could have articles here. I could have articles by, by topic. I could have book summaries. I could have contract templates. I could have coaching templates. Now, you see, the moment I have this kind of a content, if I put that in, then the content is surfaced that I can share with my clients itself. Right? So for instance, somebody wants to talk about being a more effective manager, and I've got this summary here by Ken Blanchard, which is the 1-minute manager here. And if my client were to go set that in terms of how can I be an effective manager, we can have this content which you have created be surfaced there for your clients. Did I explain that well, Lina?
That's, you explained it very well. I really like that. So, but you can tie that to the goals, and you can
Exactly.
build your own library. That's excellent.
Absolutely, yes. And in the future, what we want to be able to do is, tie up with some content providers, people who will be able to give us curated content and offer us that as a service to our coaches. So a lot of time coaches go ahead looking for content which they can help deploy with their clients, right? For example, in your website, you have offered some free templates, right? And those are the kind of things that coaches really want to do and bring it into their coaching practice when they're working with their clients. So we want to be able to do similar kind of stuff for our coaches.
Excellent. Yeah, no, this is one of those areas where especially new coaches, I mean, even an existing coach, right, would benefit from somebody providing a template where you don't have to do it yourself, right? But especially as a new coach, it's such an advantage when you can tap into somebody else's library because, we're using a lot of the same methodologies. We're learning, methodology, and we're using similar things, right? And so last week I talked about the wheel of life, right? Not every coach uses it the same way or to the same extensity, but it's a popular tool. So why build it yourself if you can have it in there? And what I really like here is the idea of book summaries, right? So if you could partner with somebody there, because you can create your own book summary.
Absolutely. Right now, this is empty, but I could just go ahead, add a book summary here. And the beauty about it is, I'll just click on this and show you a little bit of a feature here. If I upload a book summary here, you could always, I'm sorry about it, this was done by one of the other coaches. So let me come back here and show this here. If I were to go ahead and add a particular book summary here, right, or add a content here, do you see this one which says make it public?
Mm-hmm.
Which means it will be available for me to share it with my clients. So I get this as a whole content repository which I can create for myself, and then I can say, hey, some of these content libraries are available for sharing. And then when I make it available for public sharing, it is then shared with my clients, and I can share it with my clients if I so make it available. For example, this 1 Minute Manager, I uploaded this summary. And if you were to go look at this, sorry, once again, the same problem. I'm not able to edit this content and show it to you. But suppose if I were to go in here, perfect, right? Look at that. I've made it public here, right? And it says that, hey, if it's public, then it is available for you to share it with your clients here.
Excellent. And when you said public first, my question next would be, is there also a community that you're building among your coaches to say, hey, if you have something great and you wish to share it with other coaches, we can do that too?
Absolutely. And that, Karina, is what a coaching business would do, right? Imagine a coaching business which has got 10, 50, 100 coaches out there, and they are authoring content which is useful to each other. They put it as public, then it's available for other coaches who are part of that community to use it as well. Absolutely.
Great. I like that. Yeah, that's great in building the community. All right. I'm going to fade in the background. I'll let you go with the live demo.
This is good. This is good. So questions are always useful. I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about another very interesting thing, which is called as digital tools. So we have this as tools which you can use. For example, you have this one here, which is a template which you can use as just like a survey or a form that you can share with your client before a coaching journey. And you can say, where are you today? What's your current situation? What are the top 3 things? What do you really, really want to change? And why is it important for you? Think of this as just a form, Karina. And this form can be set up for a client, and then you can administer a form to this client. You could also go ahead and send out a 360 feedback form which can be shared with your client and all their stakeholders. And this could be at the beginning of a coaching journey. So even before I go ahead and start saying, hey, what are the goals that I'm working with the client, I could start deploying some of these survey forms. And these survey forms can be sent to either the clients or even to their stakeholders right at the beginning of the journey to collect some data. Now, normally we would use some free survey tools, some forms shared somewhere. The data comes to us on an Excel sheet and we are trying to bring it into the coaching engagement. In this case, this form can be directly set up for a client. So for example, if I say, hey, set this up for a client, and I will say, go set it up for Mitch, the client out here, and I duplicate this form, automatically this form is available for me to go and deploy it for my client here, Mitch. And this can be sent out to Mitch. It could be sent out to all his stakeholders. So what we have done is brought in an entire survey tool throughout the coaching journey there. Right? Any questions on that, Karina?
No, this is terrific. No, this was very, very straightforward. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. So let me go back once again to Mitch there. We started looking at the goals out there. The second thing that we like to do as coaches is, right, you're always working in our sessions, right? You're scheduling sessions, you're rescheduling, you're canceling and all of that. So this gives you a clean ability to say, hey, what are all the coaching sessions that I've done? And here you can see in the demo, the sessions have come in from January onwards. I've been working with this client. Now, the beautiful part about it is we have integrated with your offline calendars. So if you integrate your Zoom, or if you integrate your Google or Office 365 calendars, you can right away go ahead, set up a meeting here, and you can invite your clients right from Simply Coach. And it will sync up all your calendars and it will send out the Zoom information as well.
Does it allow you to give the clients a link to self-schedule?
Yes, of course. It does do that. So I just talk about the integration. Yep. So you can see that Google Calendar, Office 365 calendars, meetings, you just connect it. And then when you start working with your clients, it does it. They can also come and self-schedule if you give them the link to come and schedule with them. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay. So let me go back. Let me go back to Mitch here. So that's scheduling. One little thing here, right? You see this one which says reschedules. Now, this is something which often happens, right? You're working with a client, you've got some clause out there saying, hey, if you cancel or reschedule, within 24 hours, the session is billable. You want to be able to track that. Today, I don't know how you're tracking that. Probably it's an Excel sheet somewhere, or you're trying to collate the information. This gives you the ability to track those reschedules as well. It will tell you when was the scheduled for, when it has been moved to, what was the difference when it was done ahead as well. A little feature, but it kind of is time saving, right? As an individual coach, you're starting off your practice, you don't have too many people to help you, and you're trying to do all of those things in terms of marketing yourself as a coach, running a coaching practice, tracking sessions. Simply Coach can help you there. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. It's wonderful.
Right. Yep. You're still in the basic block and tackle, right? So you've got your private journal here. Go ahead, capture your notes here. If you've got handwritten notes out there, click a screenshot, make it into a PDF, attach it here. I find this absolutely useful because 5 minutes before a session, I come in here, I scroll through the notes, I can see what all I have captured here. And these are my notes, Corina.
Nobody else can see them. Yeah.
Nobody else can see them. And the client also has got their own interface where they are able to capture their private journal as well. So that's simple notes. Today, you might keep it somewhere in a notebook here, otherwise, but you've got all of it here. Then you've got actions. Actions are two-way. So actions can be assigned. For instance, you can see there's an action for Mitch that I put in here. When Mitch puts in action, it comes to me here. I'm supposed to send him a time management article, which I did. He has asked me to follow up with stakeholders, and he has put this in as due as 22nd for me. Two-way actions between the client and the coach. Once again, if there is any ambiguity, what are the actions, etc., the client can come back to the platform and they can verify it here. For example, if I were to come in here as Mitch, the client, I go in here, I'll be able to see all the actions which are due, which are pending for me. And the client will also get email reminders about upcoming actions. So once again, you're making the client a little bit more accountable, helping them, be on top of their actions in their coaching journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's right. And a question, while we're on that topic, when you say reminders, I'm thinking, okay, so they get that per email, maybe they get it per text. Is there also a mobile interface where they could see this like on the go, adding something quickly?
So right now we don't have a mobile app. This same website will work on your mobile browser or on your tab as well. So it will just shrink to size to fit to your mobile interface. So they just have to open it on either Chrome on mobile or on Safari on mobile. Should
That's
work
great.
beautifully.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Okay. So basic block and actions, notes, actions. So you've done that and you've done this session. Now, what happens after that? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, coach is doing something else, the client is doing something else. Here we have introduced the concept of nudges. All right. Look at this one. This is an upcoming session nudge. What it does is couple of days before the session, maybe 2 days before the session, for all sessions, and deliver it at the exact time. And it says, hey, Mitch, our coaching session is coming up. Just a small reminder 2 days before a session. And you can go edit this. You can go say this, you know what? My client is actually not in the Mumbai time zone. They are in a different time zone. So select what time zone. Maybe you put it for Pacific time zone and the trigger will happen at that time zone. You say, hey, maybe 2 days doesn't work for me. Maybe I just want to do it for a day before. Sure. Right. And you say that, maybe I don't want it at the exact time. Let me surprise the client. And therefore you get a window. Maybe you do this between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. or 12 noon, right? So in that 2-hour window, the trigger would happen and a message would go in.
Mm.
So what nudges do is they do a lot of heavy lifting for you. Once you configure a nudge before every session, this is going to do the work for you of reminding your clients. Saved me a lot of last-minute cancellation worries. I could also use a nudge, Corina, to make it post-session. Like for instance, if I say, hey, do this 3 days post a session, gives me the opportunity to send across a feedback form or a review form and say, hey, how was the session for you? Mm-hmm. So before the session, after the session, I could send in a lot of information. I could also send in reading material. I could send in links or survey forms. So that's one level of nudges or triggers.
So with a nudge, you can send a form or an attachment if you wanted to.
Absolutely. Yes, of course. Yeah, you could do any of that, right? So if I were to go edit this content here, this thing is out here, I could go put in an attachment here, I could embed a link. All of it is possible, right?
That's great.
Very, very powerful if you are able to tune it and fine tune it. The other kind of a nudge is pretty much like a calendar reminder, right? So you're working with a client and you want to nudge him saying, hey, did you take the time to schedule and plan your day today? And this goes weekly. It goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it goes exactly at 9 a.m. Now, you can go set this up. Again, you're working with the client and you say, hey, you know what? Actually, I don't want so many reminders. I just want 2 reminders in a week. Sure. Or you can say, I want a bi-weekly reminder and, it goes once in 2 weeks. Once again, you've got the ability to customize this a lot and configure the nudge, right? Where we think this will be very useful for a coach, it could be a beginner or an experienced coach, is make yourself available for your clients in between coaching sessions. In between coaching sessions is when typically the engagement tends to drop. Mm-hmm. And what we coaches could do is use the power of nudges to help bring the coaching journey alive, even when the session is not on.
I like that. Yeah, I fully agree with you. And any coach that has been in business for a little while knows, right? Especially when the coaching session is not maybe every couple of days or every week, and you have, let's say, a client coaches with you every 2 weeks. Well, there's a lot that can happen in 2 weeks. Exactly. Right. And so that's really, really important that, there's a little nudge or, some reminder to say like, hey, don't forget to schedule your next session. And hey, how about the progress that you're making here? You wanted to see habit change. How's it going there? And maybe some inspiration also, or maybe some help, right? If they're getting stuck, I think that's also another thing. Yeah. So I really like this. So nudges are important and they do save time, because otherwise, what would you do, right? And I want to address real quick the people that will watch this video that have not yet built their coaching practice or are new to this, right? You'll see over time, like if you do this manually, that is a lot of work. What you would do is you would, ideally, if you're very well organized, you would set yourself a time every week, right? Or maybe every day on your calendar where you say, I'm going to go through my list of clients and I'm going to see where they are and, who has interacted with me, who has made progress, where are they in the journey, when is the next appointment, have they done anything, you see the activity level, and then you decide to do a follow-up. Well, this reduces and takes away all that manual labor, right? Because if you can repeat it, then you might as well automate it as much as you can. You still care about your clients and you want to check in, but this reduces a lot of the labor that you could just automate.
Yeah, correct. Just imagine the labor if you're working with a cohort. Okay, imagine that you've got 4 people in a cohort, okay, or 2 people, right? How do you go about doing that, right? So you've got, let me show this one, right? So you've got 4 people out here, and you've got to nudge them. You set up one nudge for them saying that there is a reminder upcoming session. It's going to all 4 people. Or you want to tell them, hey, guys, it's time to update your individual development plan. And this one goes monthly. It goes on the 1st of every month, and it goes to everybody. And you provide a link to the IDP here, sends out to everybody. So the same thing that you're talking about, Corina, imagine that you start working with groups of 10 people, 15 people, multiple groups, saves you a whole lot of trouble there.
I agree. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Ram. Really great example.
All right. I'm going to go back to my demo here. I talked about digital forms, right? Think about these digital forms or surveys which happen over cycles. So you see here, this is running over 4 cycles. So what do I mean by 4 cycles, right? Happens monthly. Every month, I as a coach send out a form to the leader, the person whom I'm working with, whom I'm coaching, and to their stakeholders. And then the survey pulls in all of this and starts graphing it for me. It says 2nd February, 12th April, 2nd May, 19th May. What's the kind of progress that we are seeing as seen by stakeholders, right? You could also see it as a graph. You could see the graph moving up for others, whereas for self, it's in there. So having this data, and you could share this data with your client right away. You could share this with the client sponsors, executive sponsors who have done this. You could demonstrate the impact of your coaching because you're using data to demonstrate that, hey, while I'm having the coaching conversation, we are also measuring progress month on month, and we are seeing the improvement. Not just what I'm saying as a coach or not what my coaching client is saying, but actually what stakeholders are saying. Right?
That's great. Yeah. So and that's good because you want to have something that, you want to work on the coaching towards something that matters. And here you can show these are the metrics that we have put in. This is what matters to us. And here's the progress. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. And you could deep dive into the data. You can go cycles inside each cycles and go, see the data very granularly, what's happening and who's responding that way. You can do anonymous surveys. You can download the data into an Excel sheet. So we build a lot of functionality that will help the coach demonstrate their impact to their client. Ultimately, you want to show your clients that you are adding value as a coach. Use data to demonstrate that so you can have a lot of follow-on work.
Excellent. Hey, Ram, just for the sake of time,
Yes.
We're coming up against the full hour. Maybe we can wrap this up. I would love to hear a little bit about the pricing, whether there's a try and buy or, an introductory offer, any of those things, and a little bit about the onboarding, if you can.
All right. Okay. So let me start off with the onboarding, right? So we've got a full featured help out there. So if you go to help.simply.coach after you sign up, so we've got articles for everything in terms of how do you get started, how do you get the most, what are digital tools, FAQs. You can go drill out in there. We have put in screenshots in there. I talked about a nudge, right? For example, you can see here we've got details of every step with screenshots which would help you onboard. And if you need help, as you can see in the bottom of my screen here, you've got a lovely help window out there. So if you're there, go click on that and you'll be able to write to us and send us a message and we'll pick it up and we'll reply back to you within 8 hours. So that's our commitment in terms of onboarding and support for you. Pricing wise, Very, very simple pricing. You get to try us free for a month. So no limitations. Try us free for a month. Use all the features.
Mhm.
After that, you pay $10 a month for 5 clients. So Mitch is a client. So that's one client. So you can use 5 such clients for $10 a month. Great for people who are beginning their coaching practice. And if you were to subscribe for a year, you pay for 10 months and you get 2 months free. So you get the year, 2 months free in the year if you pay for 10 months. The next one is you move from a $10 plan to a $50 plan, and the $50 plan is unlimited number of engagements, unlimited number of client logins out there, um, unlimited number of templates that you can create, content that you can upload, all of it. So $50 a month, you get pretty much everything, all the features. What we have not done is we have not tried to tier it and say, oh, you pay this much, you don't get this feature, you pay that much, only you will get that feature. We have not done any of that, Karina.
Good. So it's really, the more clients you have, the higher you go. And it sounds really fair, right? With 5 clients, you're starting coach, sounds like a really, really fair price. And like I said in my last demo, and I will make it a habit to do this each time. So if you're watching this for the first time, you are starting a coaching practice, or maybe for the first time you consider working with a tool like this to help your coaching practice. You don't want to manually manage this whole thing anymore. I strongly recommend that one thing you should do is take time to consider what matters to me, not to other coaches. Like, you have your own practice, you know how you run your business. What matters most to you? What kind of features do you need to see? And then get into any provider that you pick, right? And you can try a few out, but here you have the opportunity for 30 days. That's quite a bit of time, right? In order to test this out and really go along your list and say, okay, these are the things that matter to me, right? These are the features, and make sure that you test this. Sign up with an account for yourself, and maybe this is the question, right? If one account comes with a free test account, or if they should create like a different account on a different name. Like, how do you?
Oh, no, you can. The best is create an account in your name, use it, right? Start using it, put in your clients here. We have a sample account that we put in as well, a sample engagement. So you could see all the goals, how it's structured as well. Use it and ask us a lot of questions. We are still up and coming. So send us feedback, give us some recommendations. If you have some great ideas, we'd love to hear from you as well. Because we could incorporate that in the platform. Ultimately, we are here to bring technology into coaching and help elevate your game. So all feedback welcome. Would love to see you with us.
Excellent. Well, thank you a lot, Ram. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for taking the time. And yeah, hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.